null and alternative hypothesis. So more on hypothesis testing. So inferential statistics is the other branch of statistics which deals with the estimates of population values called parameters and to make statements about computed statistics acceptable to some degree of confidence. So last time, na-discuss natin yung ating estimate, then yung point estimate, then followed by intervals. So ngayon, proceed tayo kay hypothesis testing. So part pa rin siya ni inferential statistics. So statistical inference is the method concerned with making estimates of population value. So this method called hypothesis testing is a help in determining how accurate the generalizations are. So this chapter focuses on the basic principles of hypothesis testing of means, variance, and proportion involving a single sample of data. So, ang magiging topic natin ay ililimit natin kay means and variance. So, hindi natin i-discuss si proportion. Okay, so dito ay magkakaroon po tayo ng conclusion upon doing our hypothesis testing. So, hypothesis testing nga po, it is a decision-making process for evaluating the claims about a population. So, kapag hypothesis testing, yung nabubuo nating hypothesis ay laging about our population or population parameter. Ayan. So, the goal of this process is to make judgment about the difference between the sample statistics and a hypothesized population parameter. So, dahil nga hypothesis testing, so ang magiging result natin, kumbaga, ay judgment or conclusion about dun sa tinetest natin. So, in this process, the researcher must define the population under study. So, ano ba yung ating ginagawa ng claim? Siya ba ay mean, or variance, or standard deviation? So, kailangan na natin i-identify kung ano ba yung ginagawa natin ng claim dahil yun yung ating gagawan ng null and alternative hypothesis. So, state the hypothesis to be investigated. So, may nabanggit nga po tayo na dalawang hypothesis, si null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis na madidiscuss pa natin mamaya. So, give the significance level. So, itong significance level baka familiar pa lang sa inyo, pero na-encounter na natin yan last time. So, si significance level po ay yung ating alpha. So, select a sample, collect data, perform the required test, and reach a conclusion. So, itong required test, ito yung tumutukoy sa ating statistical test. So, depende, dahil nagbabago po yung ating statistical test, depende sa given population parameter. So, kapag mean, ang hinahanapan natin or yun yung ginagawa natin ng test. So, kapag mean, iba yung ating gagamitin. Then, may cases pa tayo under ni mean. So, kapag variance known, so z-test and t-test for variance unknown. Ayan. So, the z-test and t-test are statistical tests for hypothesis testing on means. So, kapag si mean yung ating ginagawa ng claim, z-test or t-test ang gagamitin natin, while chi-square test is used for testing the standard deviation as well as variance. Ayan. So, ito yung ating magiging process. So, though, i-discuss din natin yung step-by-step procedure sa pagsosolve ng ating problem. So, maganda na rin na may idea kayo kung ano yung magiging process natin. Okay. So, null and alternative hypothesis. So, the null hypothesis denoted as H sub 0. So, ito yung kanyang symbol. Kapag may nakita kayong ganyan, so null hypothesis siya. Is the statement for equality indicating no existence of relationship between the variables under study. So, pakinote po itong keyword na to, so equality. Kaya halimbawa, if meron kayong parameter na mean, so let's say mean yung ating tinetest, kapag null hypothesis ang inyong i-identify or i-determine, so laging equal sign yung gamit na symbol. Ano? Then this statement is tested for the purpose of being accepted or rejected. Dahil nga ito ay parte ng inferential statistic, so magkakaroon tayo ng conclusion. Ano? Atin bang i-accept or i-reject si null hypothesis? Okay, so meron din tayong alternative hypothesis. So denoted as HA or H1. H1. Ayan. So HA and H1, siya yung symbol ni alternative hypothesis, is also termed as research hypothesis. So it is a statement of the expectation derived from the theory on the study. So if yung ating null hypothesis ay laging equal sign, yung ginagamit, halimbawa yung mean is equal to 5, o kaya ay variance is equal to 2. Yan. Let's say ito yung ating null hypothesis. So bakit natin sabing siya yung null hypothesis? Dahil equal po yung ating sign or symbol dito. And kay alternative hypothesis naman, so pwedeng is not equal to, pwedeng greater than, and pwedeng less than. So ito yung mga symbol na ginagamit kay alternative hypothesis. Okay. So, type 1 and type 2 error. So, dito kay hypothesis testing, meron tayong 4 na possible outcomes. So, dahil nga tinitingnan natin kung true ba or kung tama ba yung ating null hypothesis or mali yung ating null hypothesis, then nagkakaroon din tayo dito ng decision dahil nga siya ay parte ni inferential statistics. So, halimbawa, true yung ating null hypothesis, and nireject natin yung tamang null hypothesis. So, nagkukumit po tayo ng error. Ang tawag dun ay type 1 error. So, tama na yung ating null hypothesis, pero i-reject pa rin natin siya. So, error. And if tama yung ating null hypothesis at inaccept natin siya, or hindi natin siya nireject, so, correct decision yung ating ginawa. Tama yung ating null hypothesis and inaccept natin yung ating null hypothesis dahil tama nga siya. So, correct decision. Now, possible din na mali yung ating null hypothesis and pwede natin siyang i-accept or i-reject. No? So, kapag mali yung ating null hypothesis and nireject natin yung maling null hypothesis, so correct decision. Pero kapag mali na yung ating null hypothesis and inaccept pa rin natin yun, kahit mali na nga po, so nagko-commit po tayo ng error. So, type 2 error. Again, meron tayong 4 possible outcomes, dalawang tamang decision, then dalawang mali or dalawang error. So, kapag tama yung ating null hypothesis and nireject natin yung tamang null hypothesis, type 1 error. So, kapag naman false or hindi or mali yung ating null hypothesis, and inaccept natin yung tamang yun, yung ating null hypothesis na mali, inaccept natin yung maling null hypothesis, so error din po siya. So, type 1 error and type 2 error. Okay. So, i-type 1 error, ito nga, so, occurs if one rejects the null hypothesis when it is true. So, tama na yung ating null hypothesis, pero na-reject pa rin natin siya. So, type 1 error. It is also referred to as significance level and denoted by the Greek symbol alpha. So, di ba last time, kinukuha natin yung value ni alpha. So, yung kinukuha nating alpha na yun yung ating significance level. So, the common values of alpha are 1%, 5%, and 10%. Ito naman ay given sa ating problem. On the other hand, a type 2 error occurs if one does not reject the null hypothesis when it is false. So, mali na yung ating null hypothesis, no? Pero inaccept pa rin natin siya. So, type 2 error. Denoted by a Greek symbol beta. Ayan. So, kung ang ating type 1 ay alpha, ang ating type 2 ay beta. Ano? Okay. So, significance level and confidence interval. So, last time, ginamit natin si confidence interval. And then, kinuha rin natin yung ating alpha. Yan. So, ngayon, magagamit rin natin siya dito kay hypothesis testing. So, confidence interval and alpha na significance level or level of significance. So, the level of significance is the maximum probability of committing a type 1 error. So, that is P, yung ating type 1 error is equal to alpha. So, generally, statisticians agree on using 3 arbitrary significance levels. So, 0.10, 0.05, and 0.01 level. So, that is, if the null hypothesis is rejected, the probability of a type 1 error will be 10% para kay 0.10, 5% para kay 0.05, and 1% para kay 0.01. So, and the probability of correct decision will be 90%, 95%, or 99%. Ayan. So, di ba, last time, so given yung ating confidence interval na 90, 95, 99, 98. Kinuha natin yung alpha. So, paano natin kinuha yung alpha? By subtracting the given CI kay 100. 100% minus 90 is equal to 10. So, kung ang ating CI ay 90%, therefore yung ating alpha ay 10%. And binanggit na itong 10% na to ay probability of committing a type 1 error. So, kung ito yung probability na magkukommit tayo ng error, therefore, itong 90% na ito ay yung probability na tama yung decision natin. So, si CI, itong confidence interval, right decision or correct decision. And yung significance level natin, ito yung ating probability of committing an error. So, 10%, if 10% yung probability of a type 1 error natin, therefore, yung corresponding probability of correct decision will be 90. So, kung mapapansin nyo, kapag pinag-add nyo to, so 100 lang naman yun. Then, if 5%, yung ating probability of committing a type 1 error, then yung corresponding probability of correct decision will be 95. Ano? Yan. Or 1%, so 1% yung ating probability of committing a type 1 error, so error yung ating 1%, then yung ating 99%, yun yung probability na tama yung decision natin. Yan. So the values of correct decision is the confidence interval, yung ating CI, which represents the chance of accepting the null hypothesis when in fact it is true. Ayan. So proceed tayo kay dito. Sa hypothesis testing, meron tayong tatlong possible sets of statistical hypothesis. Yan. So, null hypothesis, so ito lagi yung equal yung ginagamit. So, parameter is equal to a specific value. Let's say mean is equal to 5. Ayan. Ito yung ating null hypothesis. So, gumamit siya ng equality or equal sign. Yan. Ayan. So, mga null hypothesis yan. Then, meron tayong tatlo na possible alternative hypothesis. So, pwedeng is not equal to, ito. Ang ating alternative ay is not equal to. So, mean is not equal to 5. No? So, pwedeng mas mababa kay 5 or mas malaki kay 5. So, kapag is not equal to yung ating symbol na ginamit, so, two-tailed test yung ating gagawin. Then, kapag naman less than yung ating ginamit na sign or mathematical symbol, ito. Then, yung ating test ay left-tailed test. And kapag greater than, yung ating ginamit na symbol, mathematical symbol, then yung ating gagawin ay right-tailed test. Ayan, so nakadepende yung magiging direction ng ating test. Alam ba yung direction? Ito, two-tailed test, left-tailed test, or right-tailed test. So itong dalawang to, si left-tailed at si right-tailed ay under ni one-tailed test. So para mas maintindihan natin, try natin mag-drawing. Ayan. So dito, kay two-tailed test muna. So ito yung ating and so ito yung ating curve. No? And then since two-tailed test yung ating gagawin, therefore, yung magkabilang dulo ay may shade or may shaded region. Ayan. Ito, in ito. Ano? So, two-tailed test. So, let's say ang ating alpha or significance level natin ay 5%. Since two-tailed test yung ating gagawin, ang kukunin natin ay alpha over 2. So, same concept nung ginagamit natin or nung ginagawa natin last time kay interval. So, kapag alpha over 2, parehong bound yung ating makukuha, lower and upper bound ng interval natin. And kapag alpha lang, so isang bound lang, either lower or upper. So, since two-tailed nga po ito, so kukunin natin yung ating alpha over 2 and dividing 5% by 2, so we'll have 2.5%. Therefore, itong shaded part na to ay 2.5% and itong shaded part sa kabila ay 2.5%. Ayan. So, itong shaded part natin na to, pwede natin siyang i-refer as rejection region. So, itong shaded part sa magkabilang dulo ay rejection region. Dahil nga, ito yung probability na magkukumit tayo ng type 1 error. So, if ito yung ating rejection region, itong magkabilang dulo, therefore, itong nasa gitna, ito yung ating acceptance region. So, mula dito hanggang dito ay acceptance region. And since kailangan nga tayo magkaroon ng decision dito, so paano po tayo mag-decide? So, kunin natin yung ating corresponding Z alpha over 2. So, para malaman natin kung hanggang saan ba Z value ito. So, let's say Z alpha over 2. Ating Z alpha over 2 ay, so if ang ating alpha over 2 ay 2.5%, then yung ating corresponding Z alpha over 2 ay 1.96. So, ayan ay base dun sa table na ginamit natin last time sa pagkuha ng interval. So, 1.96 dito sa right side and dito naman sa left, so negative 1.96. Ayan. So, ito yung magiging pinaka-bound ng ating rejection region. Ito yung magsasabi kung simula saan ba yung ating rejection region. So, simula kay negative 1.96 pakaliwa at mula kay 1.96 pakanan. So, ang tawag dito sa values na ito, ay critical values. So, sila kasi yung nagsasabi ng ating critical region or rejection region. So, let's say ang ating nakuhang Z, so upon computing, may nakuha tayong Z value na, let's say, negative 2. Yan. So, negative 2 yung ating Z. So, i-compare natin dito. Saan ba siya makikita? So, dito, sa itong part. So, negative 2. Since yung ating nakuhang value ay under nitong shaded region, or under ni rejection region, therefore, kailangan nating i-reject yung ating null hypothesis. So, dito na nangyayari yung ating conclusion or paggawa ng decision dahil nga ito ay parte ni inferential statistics. So, nagkakaroon tayo ng conclusion. So, therefore, kailangan nating i-reject yung ating null hypothesis since yung nakuha nga po nating value ay under nitong shaded part or under nitong rejection region. Let's say, ang nakuha nating value ay 2.1. Ayan, 2.1. So, i-plot natin dito. So, di ba dito siya makikita? So, 2.1. So, since itong 2.1 ay under pa rin nitong shaded part natin or shaded region or under ni rejection region, therefore, kailangan po nating i-reject yung ating null hypothesis. And halimbawa, yung ating nakuha ay 0.67, yung value ni Z na nakuha natin. So, upon computing, may nakuha tayong value ni Z na 0.67. So, saan ba siya makikita? Dito, sa pagitan. 0.67. Since si 0.67 ay mas malaki kay negative 1.96 pero mas maliit siya kay 1.96. So, therefore, under siya nito, itong region na to. And since under siya ni acceptance region, therefore, kailangan nating i-accept yung ating null hypothesis. So, ito yung pinaka-concept kung kailan ba tayo mag-reject or mag-a-accept ng null hypothesis. Ayan, so ito yung ating two-tailed test and meron din tayong left-tailed and right-tailed. Yan. So, since ito ay left-tailed test, so dito, sa kaliwa, yung ating shaded region or yung ating rejection region. So, if ang ating alpha ay 5% pa rin, so wala tayong gagawin dyan dahil one-tailed test naman yan. So, itong part na to ay 5%. So, kanina, dinivide lang natin yung given na alpha kay 2. So, para makater itong dalawang dulo. Pero since isa lang naman ang kailangan natin or isang end lang, so 5% na ang gagamitin natin. And para makuha yung ating critical value, given na ito ay z-test ang gagamitin natin dito. So, possible kasi na t-test and chi-square test yung ating gamitin. Pero itong mga dinidiscuss kong illustration, so under siya ni z-test. So, para lang mas familiar kayo. Okay, so, if ang alpha nga po natin ay 5%, so yung ating z-alpha, corresponding z-alpha, ay 1.645. Ayan. So, 1.645, therefore, itong part na to ay 1.645. Ayan. And since siya nga ay nasa left, so, gagawin natin siyang negative. Kapag na-right-tailed, so, syempre, magiging positive. Ito. Right-tailed test, therefore, nasa right yung ating rejection region. Ito. And ito yung ating 5%. And yung ating z-alpha ay 1.645. So, hindi na siya magiging negative dahil siya ay nasa kanan. So, magiging negative lang yung ating z-alpha if nasa kaliwa. If left-tailed test yung ating pinag-uusapan. Okay, so itong part na to ay rejection region or yung ating shaded region. No? So, rejection region. Then if itong shaded part ay rejection region, then itong malaking to, ito yung ating acceptance region. Ayan. So for example, may nakuha tayong value ni Z, no, upon computing or upon analyzing yung given problem natin. So may nakuha tayong value ni Z na negative 1.7. Ayan. So si negative 1.7, dito muna tayo kay left tail. Ano? So negative 1.7, so i-plot natin siya dito. So dito natin siya makikita, negative 1.7. And since under siya ni rejection region, no, dahil under siya nitong part na to, nitong shaded region natin. Therefore, kailangan po nating i-reject yung ating null hypothesis. And for example, 2, yung ating nakuhang Z value. So, i-plot natin siya dito. So, let's say, nandito sa kabilang dulo. And since under siya, nitong malaking to, may acceptance region, therefore, kailangan po natin i-accept yung ating null hypothesis. So, kay left tail. So, gamitin na din natin tong negative 1.7 tsaka si 2 dito sa ating right tail test. So, i-plot natin si negative 1.7. So, negative 1.7. Yan. So, ito yung acceptance region pa rin. Ayan. So, negative 1.7, therefore, under siya nitong ating acceptance region. So, therefore, kailangan po natin i-accept yung ating null hypothesis. So, halimbawa, 2, yung ating Z na nakuha. So, nandito siya sa kabila. 2. And since under siya ni rejection region, therefore, kailangan nating i-reject yung ating null hypothesis. And so, ito yung magiging pinaka-concept kung paano ba tayo magde-decide. Kailan ba natin i-reject and i-accept yung ating null hypothesis. Dahil yun yung magiging pinaka-outcome ng inyong hypothesis testing. I-reject ba natin si null hypothesis or i-accept natin si null hypothesis? Observe ko muna. May question ba kayo dito? Sa ating naging illustration? Wala na yun. Yung iba po. Wala rin. Okay, sige. Thank you. So, proceed tayo. Yes. Ano? Okay. Okay, thank you. So, proceed tayo dito. So, ito na nga yung ating general procedure for hypothesis testing. So, ito yung ating susundin na step kapag tayo ay magko-conduct ng hypothesis testing. So, halimbawa, given yung problem and may may tinatanong kung tama ba yung claim or mali. So, hypothesis testing yung ating gagawin. And ito yung ating step-by-step process. Okay, so given yung problem, ang una nating gagawin ay state the null and alternative hypothesis. So, may mababanggit naman dong value. So, halimbawa, average. So, average something is equal to 80%, ganun. So, dun kayo magbabase sa ating nabanggit na value, as well as parameter. So dahil nga ang hypothesis testing ay may test on mean, may test on variance, so depende sa nabanggit na population parameter, so yun po yung inyong gagamitin for your null and alternative hypothesis. So pangalawa, determine the level of significance. So si level of significance, yun yung ating alpha. Kapag walang nabanggit na level of significance or significance level, so tingnan nyo kung given ba na alpha. Dahil yung alpha, yun na po yung level of significance natin. And the direction of test. So the direction of test will be based on whether the alternative hypothesis is stated as left or right-tailed test or as two-tailed test. So, kailangan nyo pong i-identify yung direction ng test natin. So, balik natin to. Ayan. So, di ba kapag kay is not equal to, so two-tailed test yung ating ginawa, and kapag less than, yung symbol ng ating alternative hypothesis, left-tailed yung ating test, or left-tailed yung ating naging illustration. Then kapag naman greater than, yung mathematical symbol na ginamit sa ating alternative hypothesis, therefore, right-tailed test yung ating gagawin. So yung direction ng test ay nakabase sa mathematical symbol na ginamit natin sa ating alternative hypothesis. Ayan. So third, determine the appropriate statistical test based on the level of measurement of the data gathered. So nabanggit nga po natin kanina na nagbabago yung ating statistical test. So meron tayong z-test, meron din tayong t-test, tsaka chi-square test. So ang test ba natin ay mean? So mean ba? And kapag kay mean, so known ba yung ating variance or unknown? So kapag po kasi known yung ating variance, so katulad ng sa pagkuha ng interval, ang gagamitin natin ay z-test given na known yung ating variance. And kapag unknown yung ating variance, so t-test ang ating gagamitin. And kapag naman variance, ang ating claim or ang population parameter na ginamit sa ating mga hypothesis. So, ang gagamitin natin ay chi-square. So, kapag variance as well as standard deviation. Ayan. So, write the decision rule expressing on how to accept or reject the null hypothesis. So, itong decision rule mahalaga na ma-identify nyo yung ating critical values. So, dito, in-identify natin yung ating critical values. No? And si critical values kasi yung nagsasabi kung nasaan yung ating rejection region. So, para magkaroon kayo ng idea kung paano nyo ba i-reject or i-accept. Or ano yung magiging basehan nyo sa pag-reject or sa pag-accept ng null hypothesis. Okay. So, panglima, compute the test statistic and compare with the critical value. So, di ba, nabanggit dun sa third step natin ito. So, determine the appropriate statistical test. So, pwedeng z-test, t-test, or chi-square test. So, kapag na-identify natin yung formula, so, madali na sa ating makompute yung hinahanap natin. Siya ba ay z-value, yung ating t, or yung ating chi-square. And itong makukuha nating value ay i-compare natin sa ating critical values. So, katulad dito, ito yung mga na-compute natin. Kumbaga, no? Or yung mga example natin na na-compute. Ayan. Ito, ito. So, ipinlat natin and compare nga natin siya sa ating critical values. Na siya ba ay mas maliit kay critical values or mas malaki kay critical values? And kung siya ay mas maliit kay critical value, kailangan ba natin siyang i-reject or kailangan natin siyang i-accept? So, mga ganun. Ano? So, pang-anim, state the decision based on the resulting computed value when compared to the critical value. So, kapag nag-fall under rejection region, yung ating computed value, z value, t, or yung ating chi-square, So, kailangan nating i-reject. Kapag nag-fall under kay rejection region, reject. Kapag nag-fall under kay acceptance region, accept. Ano? So, state the decision. Accept or reject. 7, yung ating last step, draw scientific or engineering conclusion for the given problem. So, anong masasabi nyo sa ating situation? No. Ayan. Ito yung ating mga step. Ayan, so yun na lang. Ayan, continue tayo. So, test on the mean of a normal distribution variance zone. So, kapag mean yung ating ginagawa ng test, or mean yung nasa claim natin, and variance zone, so z-test. Ito yung ating formula to get the value of z. So, ito naman ay na-encounter na natin ng mga last discussion. So, sample mean minus population mean divided by population standard deviation over square root of n. So, ito yung ating formula. Test on the mean variance known. So, z-test. Ayan. So, in order to draw inference on a mean in one population case, assuming that the entries are normally distributed and the variance is known, so z-test is used. So, it can be used when the sample size is equal or greater than 30. So, the z-statistic is the test statistic used in order to lead for the rejection of null hypothesis in favor of the alternative hypothesis. So, ito nga yung ating formula. And ito po yung illustration ginawa din natin kanina. So, pareho lang naman yung sinasabi. So, kapag two-tailed, magkabilang dulo, so alpha over 2, yan, alpha over 2, and ito yung ating critical region or rejection region, sorry. Yung may shaded part, yun yung ating rejection region, then yung nasa gitna, yun yung ating acceptance region. Para naman kay one-tailed test, so pwede kasi right-tailed or left-tailed. Kay right-tailed, so ito yung ating acceptance, and nasa kanan yung ating rejection region. Kapag kay left-tailed, so nasa kaliwa yung ating rejection region, and ito yung ating acceptance region. So, kaya mahalaga na ma-identify nyo kung ano ba yung direction ng ating test. Siya ba ay two-tailed, one-tailed, and if one-tailed, siya ba ay right-tailed or left-tailed? Ayan. So, ito yung alpha over 2 or alpha natin and yung kanyang corresponding z alpha over 2 or z alpha. So, minodify ko lang yung table na ginamit natin last time sa paggawa ng interval. So, para hindi nakakalito, So, pinagsama ko na alpha over 2 or alpha and z alpha over 2 or z alpha. So, kapag yung ating alpha over 2 ay 0.05, then yung corresponding z alpha over 2 natin ay 1.645. And kapag yung ating alpha ay 0.05, so ang corresponding z alpha natin ay 1.645. So, ganun lang din. Ayan. Stop natin. Ayan, so example 1. So a random sample of 100 students enrolled in statistics course under Professor X shows that the average grade in the midterm examination is 85%. So Professor X claims that the average grade of the students in the midterm is at least 80% with a standard deviation of 16%. So is there an evidence to say that the claim is correct at 5% level of significance? So since ang una nating step, So state the null and alternative hypothesis. So dito, may mapapansin kayong keyword na claim. Ayan. So meron tayong keyword na claim dyan. Ibig sabihin, dito sa part na to, nandito lang yung ating null and alternative hypothesis. So claims that average grade, so average, so therefore test on the mean, no, grade of the students in the midterm is at least 80% with a standard deviation, ito yung population standard deviation na 16%. So may nabanggit na 80%. So kine-claim niya na yung average grade down ng students ng midterm ay at least 80%. So meron na tayong nakuhang null hypothesis. Null hypothesis. So average, therefore mean is equal to, so bakit is equal to yung ating ginamit ay at least po yung may at least na nakalagay. So, di ba, yung ating null hypothesis ay laging nagre-refer sa equality. So, mean is equal to 80% or 80. Yan. So, yan yung ating null hypothesis. Para naman kay alternative hypothesis, so dito na natin gagamitin itong at least. So, mean is at least, so pinakamababa na yung 80. So, mean is greater than 80. Ayan. So, okay na tayo kay step 1. So, na-state na natin yung ating null and alternative hypothesis. Na mean is equal to 80 and mean is greater than 80. Ayan. So, may question ba kayo kung paano nakuha itong ating null and alternative hypothesis? Or nagets naman po? Nagets naman. Okay. Okay, so proceed tayo kay step 2. So step 2, identify natin yung significance level, yung ating alpha, and yung direction ng ating test. So ito yung ating step 1. Step 2. Ayan. So is there an evidence to say that the claim is correct at 5% level of significance? So meron na tayong level of significance. So alpha is equal to 5% or 0.05. So, ito din yun. Itong 0.05 ay itong 5%. Then, direction ng ating test. Ito ba ay two-tailed or one-tailed? So, refer tayo kay alternative hypothesis. Since ang ginamit ay greater than, therefore, ito ay one-tailed test. And since greater than nga po, then, right-tailed ang ating magiging direction. Right-tailed test. So, sa pagkuha ng ating direction ng test, refer lang tayo sa symbol na ginamit dito kay alternative hypothesis. If is not equal to, then two-tailed. If greater than, one-tailed, and right. If less than, then one-tailed and left. Ayan. Ayan, so okay na tayo sa una at pangalawang step. So, pangatlo, so ito yun. So, mean is equal to 80 as our null. Mean is greater than 80 as our alternative. And alpha ay 0.05 and siya ay right-tailed test. Then yung ating third step ay statistical test. So since test on the mean ito and known yung ating variance, dahil known yung ating population standard deviation, so therefore, alam na rin natin yung ating variance, no? Or yung ating population variance. So therefore, ang gagawin nating formula ay ito. So z-test. So z is equal to sample mean minus population mean divided by population standard deviation over square root of n. Ayan. So ito yung ating formula. No? Then yung pang-apat, so doon natin i-indicate yung ating decision rule. I-identify natin yung ating critical values para magkaroon tayo ng basis kung paano magre-reject at mag-a-accept ng null hypothesis. So, try nating i-illustrate. Wait. Ayan. So, since right-tailed test, so nasa kanan yung ating rejection region. So, itong part na to. Ayan. And then, balikan natin yung ating significance level. So, 0.05 or 5%. So, itong part na to ay 5%. And itong part na to, ay ito yung ating acceptance region. Ayan. So, refer tayo dito kay table. No. So, alpha ay 5%. Ito. And since siya ay right-tailed test, so, ayan na, 5% na. Ano? 1.645. So, 1.645. Ayan, na-identify natin yung ating critical value. Ano? So, since na-identify natin yung ating critical value, so meron na tayong basis. Kapag yung ating z na makukuha dito, ano, ay mas maliit kay 1.645. So, if siya ay mas maliit, so dito siya magpa-fall under. So, kailangan nating i-accept yung null hypothesis. And if yung makukuha natin z ay mas malaki kay 1.645, therefore, kailangan nating i-reject si null hypothesis. Ayan. Ayan. So, yung ating critical region ay z is greater than 1.645. So, ito yung ating rejection region. Ano? Then, reject null hypothesis if yung computed z natin ay mas malaki ay 1.645. Dahil ito yung ating rejection region. Okay, so hanapin na natin yung value ni z. No? Yan. Computing for z statistic. Yan. So, meron tayong sample mean na 85 and population mean na 80 divided by our population standard deviation na 16 divided by square root of n, which is 100. So, simplifying this, we'll have 3.125. So, may nakuha tayong value ni z, which is 3.125, and balikan natin yung ating illustration. So, saan ba natin dito makikita si 3.125? So, di ba dito, ano? Let's see, nasa part na to. 3.125. Ayan. So, kung makikita nyo, si 3.125 ay under nitong shaded region natin and under siya ni rejection region. So, therefore, kailangan nating i-accept or i-reject yung ating null hypothesis. So, anyone? So, since 3.125 ay nandito, ano? Ano po ang ating gagawin? Accept or reject?
Reject po.
Yan. So, reject. Ano? So, kailangan nating i-reject yung ating null hypothesis. So, yun yung ating magiging decision case 6. Yan. So, reject null hypothesis since 3.125 is greater than 1.645. Then yung ating conclusion, so the professor claim is correct, ay 5% level of significance, or simply, ang ilagay nyo na lang, since na-reject natin yung ating null hypothesis, so since mali to, ang ilagay nyo na lang ay yung average ay greater than 80%. So ito, dahil ito yung tamang conclusion. Ayan. Ito. Ayan. May question ba kayo dito sa ating example 1? Nagigets naman po. Nakakahabol? Okay. Mukhang nakakahabol naman sa discussion. So, proceed tayo sa example 2. Ayan. So, para mas magets natin. So, a manufacturer of solar lamp claims that the mean useful life of their new product is 8 months with a standard deviation of 0.5 months. So, to test this claim, a random sample of 50 solar lamps were tested and found to have a mean life of 7.8 months. So, test the hypothesis that mean is equal to 8 months against the alternative hypothesis that mean is not equal to 8 months using 1% level of significance. So, yung ating first step, so kailangan nating i-state null and alternative hypothesis. Since given na siya, so madali na nating ma-identify. So, yung may equal, yun yung ating null hypothesis. And itong wala, or itong gumamit ng ibang mathematical symbol, so ito yung ating alternative hypothesis. Ayan. So, ano pong technique or paano po namin mas madaling malalaman yung alternative hypothesis? So, kapag meron po kayong nakita na mga at least, at most, exceeding, so yun yung nagsasabi or nag-describe sa ating alternative hypothesis. Kapag walang binanggit, kapag wala kayong nakitang mga keyword na at least, at most, greater than, less than, so ang gamitin nyo ng symbol ay is not equal to. Since wala naman nabanggit. So, therefore, two-tailed siya. So, yun nga, given na yung ating null and alternative hypothesis. And proceed tayo sa step 2. So, using 1% level of significance, then yung ating alpha ay 1% or 0.01. And since ang ating alternative hypothesis ay gumamit ng symbol na is not equal to, therefore yung ating direction ay two-tailed. Ayan, two-tailed. Ayan. So, okay na tayo sa una. Ayan, una at pangalawa. And then yung pangatlo nga po, ito yung ating statistical test or formula na gagamitin. So, Z pa rin, Z-test. Then, pang-apat, so identify natin yung ating critical values. So, let's have this illustration. So, since siya ay two-tailed, so magkabila ay may rejection region. So, ito, and ito. Ayan. So, ang given ay 0.01 na alpha. And since two-tailed nga, yung alpha natin, kailangan natin siyang i-divide sa 2 para makater yung both ends. So, we'll have alpha over 2 is equal to 0.005. So, therefore, itong part na to ay 0.05 and itong part na to ay 0.05 din. 0.005, sorry. Ayan. And then itong nasa gitna, so ito yung ating acceptance region. Ayan. So para malaman yung ating critical values and para malaman kung paano tayo magde-decide kung i-accept natin or i-reject yung ating null hypothesis. So dito tayo magbase. So 0.005 yung ating alpha over 2. So ito, ano? And then yung ating corresponding z alpha over 2 ay 2.576. So therefore, ito ay 2.576. So 2.576 para sa kanan and para naman sa kaliwa, so we'll have negative 2.576. Ayan, so madaling ma-identify yung ating left at right na critical values kapag two-tailed kay Z at kay T. So, gagawin nyo lang plus minus yung given, yung value natin. So, 2.576. Ano? Positive, negative. Negative 2.576 para sa left and positive 2.576 para sa right. Ayan. So, kapag yung ating nakuhang Z, ito, ay mas maliit kay negative 2.576. So, kailangan nating i-reject yung ating null hypothesis. And kapag mas malaki naman, kay 2.576 yung nakuha natin, so kailangan uli nating i-reject yung ating null hypothesis. Ayan. So, 575 yung ginamit. So, since maliit naman yung discrepancy, so okay lang. And ipoprovide ko po itong table na to na para isa or para standard yung ating ginagamit na values. So, panglimang step, so computing for the Z statistic. So, like this. Ano? Ayan. So, sample mean minus population mean divided by our population standard deviation over square root of n na 50. So, substituting, ano naman ay mga nabanggit sa ating situation. So, direct substitution lang. Then, solving for our z. So, we'll have negative 2.8284 or approximately negative 2.83. So, balikan natin yung ating illustration. Nasaan ba si negative 2.83? So, negative 2.83. So, dito. Ano? Negative 2.83. Ayan. So, under ito. So, since siya ay under nitong shaded region, and ito nga pong ating shaded region ay rejection region, so therefore, kailangan nating i-reject si null hypothesis. So, reject null hypothesis since negative 2.83 is less than our critical value na negative 2.575 or 576. So, for our conclusion, so the mean useful life of the new product is not equal to 8 months. Dahil diba yung ating null hypothesis ay 8. Ayan. And since mali nga yung ating null hypothesis, so ang sasabihin natin ay is not equal to 8 months or simply yung ating alternative hypothesis na mean is not equal to 8. Ayan. Nag-assume po ba kayo dito sa ating example 2? Wala naman. Nagigets naman po. Okay. Sige. Kung wala po kayong question, so pakitry pong sagutan itong ating practice problem. So, isa lang naman yan. Ayan. And ito yung ating table. No? Then, ilista na rin natin yung ating mga step. So, para may reference din kayo. Ayan, so una, identify natin yung ating null and alternative hypothesis. And pangalawa, identify yung ating significance level at direction of the test.
Tetraphone na lang, bingo ka na. Nakaganto ako sa CR, napatingin ako sa labas.
Pangatlo, so statistical test. So ito yung formula na gagamitin nyo. Ito ba ay z-test, t-test, or chi-square test. Since ito naman ay under, nung una, test on the mean variance na, so z-test, ano ang ating magiging formula dito kay third step. So pang-apat, so decision rule.
Ayaw kaya, no? Magkabagkabit ka kita? Hindi ko nga alam ang pangalan mo.
So decision rule, ano? So, identify natin yung ating critical values. So, para meron tayong basis kung paano tayo mag-decide.
Buti ka kung isang beses, dalawang beses. Hindi, tuwing nakakasalubong niya ako. Huwag kayo.
So, yung panlima, compute for the value of z and i-compare natin sa ating critical values.
Bakit kitagayan mo ka? Kitagayan ka ba? Hindi ko alam. Hindi nga siya naka-shirt, hindi pa rin PPE.
Then, pang-anim, ano ba yung ating magiging decision? So, upon comparing, alin bang i-accept or i-reject yung ating null hypothesis?
Kumain sa akin, sabi ko, hindi talaga. Sabi. Siguro, gusto lang yung mukha. Ano ba naman yun? Pwede naman, ma'am, good morning.
And then, yung last, conclusion.
Lagi ko yung kinukwento sa inyo.
So, ito po yung ating step kay kapag tayo magko-conduct ng hypothesis testing. Yes, KB?
Napindot lang po.
Okay, sige. Okay na po? Nakapagsagot?
Oo, nung isang araw ay dun sa may, kasama ko yung aking sekretary. Iyan sa may gym.
Tapos na po? Or nagsasagot pa?
Ang taas pa ng kamay, ha?
Nagsasagot po.
Okay, sige.
Nasi
Ay, so tapos na si Eureka. Yung iba po, tapos na din. Or na-stuck po sa pagsasagot. Nakapagsagot po yung iba or hindi? Okay. So, nagsagot naman. Sige, i-discuss po natin. So, dito, aircrew escape systems are powered by a solid propellant. So, the burning rate of this propellant is an important product characteristic. So, specifications require that the mean burning rate must be 50 centimeters per second. So, we know that the standard deviation of burning rate is 2 centimeters per second. So the experimenter decides to specify a type 1 error probability or significance level of alpha is equal to 0.05 and selects a random sample of n is equal to 25 and obtains a sample average burning rate of 51.3 centimeters per second. So what conclusions should be drawn? So ang unang step natin, null and alternative hypothesis. So, kailangan nating i-identify yung ating null and alternative hypothesis. So, from this given, ano po kaya yung ating null hypothesis as well as alternative hypothesis? Anyone? Null and alternative. Okay, so meron tayong null na mean is equal to 50. Ano? So, galing dito. Okay. So, if ang ating null ay ito, mean is equal to 50, then since wala pong nabanggit na mga keywords such as at least, at most, greater than, less than, exceeding, mga ganun. So, automatic, ang ating gagamitin ay is not equal to. So, ang ating alternative hypothesis ay mean is not equal to 50. So, para naman sa level of significance, so ito naman ay nabanggit dito na alpha is equal to 0.05. Yan. And since ang ating symbol sa alternative hypothesis ay is not equal to, so ano po kaya yung ating magiging direction ng test? Siya ba ay two-tailed or one-tailed? If one-tailed, siya ba ay right or left-tailed? Yan, two-tailed. So, tama po. Two-tailed ang ating test since is not equal to yung ginamit. Then, for our statistical tests, so ito yung formula natin. And then, for our decision rule, or critical region, critical values, so negative 1.96 at 1.96. So, to illustrate, so ito yung ating curve. Two-tailed. So, ito at ito. Then, itong dalawang to ay yung ating rejection region. Ayan. And since ang alpha natin ay 0.05, so, kailangan natin kunin yung ating alpha over 2. Bakit naging alpha over 2? Dahil kailangan nating i-cater itong dalawang dulo. So, alpha over 2 ay 0.025. No? So, para dito and para din dito. So, magbase tayo dito sa ating table. Ayan. So, 0.025. So, ito, 0.025 and yung corresponding z alpha over 2 niya ay 1.96. So, 1.96 dito sa kanan and negative 1.96 dito sa kaliwa. No. And itong gitnang to, ito yung ating acceptance region. If mas maliit, kay negative 1.96 and if mas malaki, kay positive 1.26 yung makukuha nating value ni Z, so kailangan po nating i-reject yung ating null hypothesis. So yung panlima, compute and compare. So using this, ito naman ay mga given sa ating problem. So ang ating sample mean ay 51.3 and our population standard deviation ay 2. So substitute. Direct substitution will have 3.25. So since meron tayong Z na 3.25, so i-plot natin dito. So dito, dahil 3.25. So nakuha po ba itong ating value ni Z na 3.25? Ito, nakuha naman. Ayan. Sige. Okay. So since itong 3.25 ay under nitong shaded region natin, ano kaya yung ating magiging decision? Kailangan ba nating i-accept or i-reject yung ating null hypothesis? Anyone? So accept or reject? So reject. So kailangan nating i-reject yung ating null hypothesis. So yun yung ating magiging decision case 6. So reject null hypothesis. And then for our conclusion, since na-reject natin yung ating null hypothesis na mean is equal to 50, therefore, yung ating mean is not equal to 50. Or there is strong evidence that the mean burning rate exceeds 50 centimeters per second. Ayan. Ayan, may question ba kayo dito sa ating practice problem? Or may part na gustong ipa-clarify? Wala naman. Yung iba po. So nakakahabol naman po. Nagigets kung paano natin i-accept or i-reject yung ating null hypothesis. Okay, so mukhang nagets naman. Okay, thank you. Okay, so proceed tayo dito. So test on the mean of a normal distribution variance unknown. So variance unknown, kanina variance known. So same process. So yung pitong yun pa rin ang ating susundin. Ang pinagkaiba lang, ang gagamitin natin dito ay t-test kay variance unknown. Thus, we'll use this t-test table para makuha yung ating critical values. So dito, meron tayong DF na pwede nating makuha by using n-1. n-1 ay DF. Yan. Meron tayong 1 tail and 2 tail. So ito yung magiging basis natin para mahanap yung ating critical values. Okay, so diretso na tayo kay example. Ayan. So the College of Engineering of a State University gives an entrance exam to incoming freshmen. So those who get scores equal or higher than the set passing are accepted in the college. So the average score of the incoming freshmen was 80% before the implementation of K-12 education system. Due to this implementation, the entrance exam was suspended for 2 years, and it is thought that the quality of the first-year students had diminished. However, with the vision, mission, goals, and objectives of the university and the college towards quality education, so the dean wants to determine if the quality of freshman students has changed. Ayan. So he wants to know if it has improved or diminished. So gusto daw malaman kung nag-improve ba or 'di ba yung ating average score ay 80? So gusto daw malaman if bumaba ba kay 80 or mas tumaas kay 80 yung naging average passing score. So a small random sample of 15 freshman students and administers the same entrance exam. The average score is found to be 83% with a standard deviation of 5%. Determine whether the quality has changed using 1% level of significance. So yan yung mga information. So since meron tayong value na 80 and average pa rin yung pinag-uusapan natin, so we'll have this as our null hypothesis. And since gusto malaman kung nag-improve ba, tumaas ba kay 80 or bumaba kay 80, so mean is not equal to 80 as our alternative hypothesis. Ayan. So 1% level of significance or 0.01, and since ito po ay gumamit ng is not equal to, so two-tailed test. Ayan. So ang ating maging statistical test ay T dahil variance unknown. So paano ba malalaman kung known or unknown yung ating variance? Ito kasi ang binigay na standard deviation ay sample standard deviation. So itong 5% na to ay standard deviation itong 15 freshman students. Nung data na galing dito sa 15 na ito. Kaya siya ay sample standard deviation. If sample standard deviation yung given, therefore hindi natin makukuha yung ating population variance. Dahil kung sample standard deviation ang given, so ang makukuha lang natin ay sample variance. Ayan. Okay, so pang-apat, no. So yung critical values natin, which is positive, negative 2.977. So balikan natin. Ang ating N ay 15, so ang magiging DF natin ay 14, Yan, 14. Then 1% level of significance. So 14 and 1% level of significance. So ito yung ating 14. Then yung ating alpha, ang alpha natin ay 0.01. And yung ating alpha over 2 ay 0.005. So gagamitin natin to para mahanap kung alin ba yung ating critical value. Okay, so 0.01 at 0.005. So dapat sila yung magkatapat. So ito, 0.01 as our alpha and 0.005 as our alpha over 2. So ito. Therefore, dito sa column na to tayo magbabase. So ito, until here. So 2.977. Ayan, 2.977. So ito yung ating critical values. So since two-tailed, so magkabilang dulo ay may critical value. Ayan. So positive at negative 2.977. So again, same process po. So pwede kayong gumamit ng illustration para mas madali nyong ma-identify kung kayo ba ay mag-accept or magre-reject ng null hypothesis. Okay, so negative 2.977 and positive 2.977. Yan. So ito yung ating rejection region. Ayan. Then, ito yung gitnang to. Ito yung acceptance. Okay. So, solving ito, ano? So, direct substitution. So, 83 minus 80 over 5 divided by square root of 15. Ano? So, direct substitution lang. Ito naman ay galing sa ating problem. So, we'll have 2.32. Upon simplifying this, 2.32. So, gamitin ulit natin to. Saan ba siya? 2.32. So, dito. Ano?
Viral illness.
Ayan. So, since ang ating nakuhang value ng t ay under this, no? So, ano po kaya yung ating magiging decision? Accept or reject?
Accept po.
Accept, ano? So, kailangan natin i-accept yung ating null hypothesis. Ayan. So, do not reject null hypothesis since 2.32 is less than 2.977 but greater than negative 2.977. So, dahil nga ay nasa pagitan ng dalawa, so kailangan nating i-accept si null hypothesis. So, therefore, the quality of freshman students has not changed dahil tama yung ating null hypothesis na mean is equal to 80. Ayan. So, may question ba kayo dito? So, again, same process. Ang pinagkaiba lang ay yung naging formula. Yan. So, mukhang wala naman tanong. So, proceed tayo sa last. So, hindi ko na ito ipapasagutan sa inyo. So, may sagutan naman siya dito. So, pwede nyo siyang ma-review dahil i-upload ko po itong ating material. Ayan. So, test on variance and statistical deviation of a normal distribution. So, same process pa rin. Yung 7 steps pa rin yung ating susundin dito. Ang pinagkaiba lang ay yung ating magiging critical values. So, dahil ito ay test on variance, so, variance yung ating parameter. And if variance yung ating parameter, kung maaalala nyo, dun sa ating chi-square, dun sa interval natin, or sa paggawa ng interval ng variance, so yung isang bound ay alpha, and yung isa ay 1 minus alpha. Then yung isa ay alpha over 2 for our two-tailed test, and yung isa ay 1 minus alpha over 2. So, di ba kanina, pag meron tayong nakuhang value, halimbawa 1.96 or 2.546, 546 ba yun o 76? Anyways, so, yun nakuha natin, plus minus lang. Plus minus if two-tailed. So, negative para sa left and positive para sa right. So, dito, iba. So, yung isa ay 1 minus alpha. Ito. Para kay two-tailed, 1 minus alpha over 2. And then, yung isa ay alpha over 2. Kapag right-tailed, alpha. Kapag left-tailed, 1 minus alpha. So, nag-iiba yung pinaka-basis natin to get our critical values. Ayan. So, kapag test on variance. Yan. So, since panibagong test, so panibagong table na basis for our critical value. Gumagamit rin siya ng degrees of freedom na n-1. And ito yung ating alpha and 1 minus alpha. Or alpha over 2 and 1 minus alpha over 2. So, dito tayo titingin as well as dito kay degrees of freedom. Ayan. Okay, so proceed tayo dito sa ating example. Ayan. So, a company claims that the variance of the sugar content for its ice cream is equal to 25 mg per ounce. So, since ito ay, ano, claims that the variance, therefore, yung ating population parameter ay variance. So, variance yung gagamitin natin kay null and alternative hypothesis. Ayan. So, a sample of 20 servings is selected and the sugar contents is measured. So, the variance of the sample is found to be 36. At 10% level of significance, is there enough evidence to reject the claim? So, ito yung ating una. So, meron tayong ito. Variance is equal to 25 and since walang keyword uh, to indicate the mathematical symbol to be used on our alternative hypothesis. So, ang gamitin natin ay is that equal to. Ayan. So, pangalawa, yung level of significance and direction. So, at 10% level of significance, therefore, ang alpha natin ay 0.1. And since ito ay is not equal to, therefore, two-tailed test ang direction. Ayan. Then, statistical test, since ito ay test on variance, no, test on variance chi-square. So, ito. Ayan. So, n minus 1 times our sample variance divided by population variance. So, ito po yung ating formula. Sample variance and population variance. Ayan. So, to get the critical values, so para magkaroon tayo ng basis, ayan, balikan natin itong given. So, a sample of 20 servings. Therefore, yung ating DF na degrees of freedom ay 19. So, 19 and 10% level of significance. Ayan. So, 19 and 10. So, nasan ba si 19? Ito. Ayan. Then, ang ating alpha ay 10. 10%. And since two-tailed yung pinag-uusapan natin, so we'll use alpha over 2. So, two-tailed, alpha over 2, 10 divided by 2, we'll have 5. 5%. So, okay na tayo sa isang critical value na alpha over 2. And para naman dun sa kabilang critical value, so we'll have 1 minus alpha over 2. So, we'll have 1 minus 5%. Ang ating 5% ay 0.05. So, 1 minus 0.05. So, we'll have 0.95. So, ito ay 0.05. So, we have this, alpha over 2, para sa isang critical value. And para naman dun sa kabilang critical value, ay 0.95. So, ito yung ating gagamitin sa pagtingin dito. So, 0.95, ito, So, yan. 10.117. So, may nakuha na tayong isang So, may nakuha na tayong isang critical value na 10.117. Yan. Then, para naman sa isa pa, so okay na tayo dito kay 1 minus alpha over 2. Then, ito naman, kay 0.05. So, 0.05. So, ito. 30.40. So, therefore, nakuha na natin yung ating critical values. Yung isa ay 10.117 and yung isa ay 30.40. Ayan. So, kung i-illustrate natin, so yan, tagilid po yung ating illustration dito kay chi-square dahil nga yung isa ay alpha over 2 and yung isa ay 1 minus alpha over 2. So, we'll have 10 10.117 here, and 30.14 here. Ayan. So, rejection region, then ito yung ating acceptance region. Ayan. Okay, proceed tayo. So, nakuha na natin yung ating critical values. Therefore, meron na tayong basis sa pagde-decide kung i-accept ba natin or i-reject yung ating null hypothesis. Ayan. So, the formula, using this formula, so hanapin natin yung ating chi-square statistic. So, substituting the given values. So, n ay 20. So, n minus 1, 19. Then, we also have our sample variance na 36 divided by our population variance, which is 25. So, halimbawa, ang given lang ay sample standard deviation. So, makukuha natin yung sample variance by squaring it, no? And if ang given lang ay population standard deviation, sigma, so makukuha natin yung ating variance by squaring it. So simplifying this, 19 times 36 over 25, so we'll have 27.36. So may nakuha na tayong value. And tingnan natin or i-compare natin siya sa ating critical values. So 27.36. Ayan. So 27.36. Nandito siya. So nandito. Sa part na to. Since siya ay nag-fall under dito sa ating acceptance region, so therefore, kailangan nating i-accept yung ating null hypothesis. So, yun yung ating magiging decision for our step 6. Ayan. Do not reject null hypothesis or simply accept. Accept na lang. Accept null hypothesis since 27.36 is greater than 10.117 but less than 30.144. So for our conclusion, the company claimed that the sugar content is equal to 25 milligram per ounce is correct at 10% level of significance. Ayan. Ayan, may question ba kayo dito? Sa ating huling topic. Nagets naman po. If walang question, nagets naman po. Okay, sige. So, hanggang dito na lang po. Ito ay, may practice problem pa dito. So, pwede nyo siyang i-browse. May sagutan naman yun. So, kapag natripan nyo mag-review, so, yan. Ayun, so, announcement lang. No? Na-checkan ko na po yung inyong midterms. So, EDA at DE. And, ibibigay ko po yung scores nyo. Mamaya, So, i-forward ko na lang sa inyong class rep. Then, siya na lang yung magpo-forward sa inyo. Ayun, so up to 60 na yung ating midterms for both subjects. Ayun, so since kahapon po ay may meeting and event/event. So sana ay napanood yung discussion